Welcome back. I'm Dr. Hazel Huang, and we're going to look at 5 Gen AI myths every university student believes. This video might seem like a slight detour from our usual research methods content, but bear with me. Gen AI is becoming an unavoidable part of modern life, and I want to make sure you use it with your eyes open. Forewarned is forearmed, and that's exactly what this video is for. Let's dive in. Before we get into the myths, I want to share something personal, because it's what prompted this video. I've been watching a debate play out in universities for some time now, and it broadly splits academics into 3 groups. And I'll be honest, I've sat in all 3 of those groups at different points myself. The first group treats any use of Gen AI as academic misconduct, full stop. The second group uses it as a smarter search engine, and honestly, most students are in this group too. And the third group, a much smaller group, but gradually growing, has worked out how to use Gen AI to genuinely amplify the quality and efficiency of their work. Yet what we're actually observing in students tells a different story. Higher failure rates, more students landing a pass but only just, and a pattern where Gen AI is being used as an undetectable shortcut rather than a genuine thinking tool. Before I go further, I should be clear about where I'm speaking from marketing and consumer psychology, where building knowledge means constructing arguments, synthesizing research, and developing your own analytical position. There often isn't a single correct answer the way there is in mathematics, engineering, or other business disciplines like finance and accounting, where foundational knowledge is built on formulas and verifiable solutions. For those disciplines, restricting Gen AI use makes complete sense, and I wouldn't argue otherwise. What I'm talking about today is specifically the marketing and consumer psychology context, and likely other disciplines where there isn't one single correct answer. But I'll let colleagues in those fields speak for themselves. A few months ago, I came across a talk by a Taiwanese university professor, and one line stopped me. She said, Gen AI benefits the older generation, but harms the younger generation, because we know how to evaluate AI's outputs, but they don't. The most natural way to fix that is to show students how we actually use Gen AI in our own work. But that's genuinely difficult. There are privacy concerns, time constraints, and most of us are still on our own learning curve. And if we're honest, we keep blaming students for how they use Gen AI when most of us haven't yet modeled what good use actually looks like. That realization is what motivated me to stop being a passive user and start building. It was only in March 2026 that I made that shift, and I'm leaving that date in deliberately. This field moves fast, and what I know now may already be dated by the time you watch this. After a couple of months of building and testing, I can share what I've learned with some confidence. This series isn't just about the myths. I'll also show you, through examples and practice, how I built my own system. The myths are the foundation that will shape every decision you make about how your system is built. Let's now dive in. Myth 1. Gen AI is smarter than me, so I should let it lead. This is the most consequential myth on this list because it shapes every decision you make about how to use the tool. These tools are genuinely impressive. They produce fluent, authoritative text. They don't hesitate. They never seem uncertain. But that fluency is a surface feature, not a measure of depth. And this is the distinction that matters. Think of Gen AI as a brainstorming partner who is exactly as capable as you are. No more, no less. The quality of what comes out scales directly with the quality of what you bring in. A strong researcher using Gen AI gets stronger output. A student still building their knowledge base gets output that sounds polished, but lacks depth. And the danger is that if you don't know the field well enough, you won't be able to tell the difference. And it's worth being honest about something else. Gen AI hallucinates. It generates incorrect information, fabricated references, misattributed findings, confident-sounding claims that simply aren't true, with no indication that anything is wrong. It doesn't flag its own errors. That's not a bug that will be fixed in the next version. It's a fundamental feature of how language models work. That alone should tell you why you can't let it lead. There's been a lot of discussion recently about a case where an MIT PhD student used Gen AI to help pass a qualifying exam. That case gets cited constantly as proof that Gen AI can do the intellectual heavy lifting. But look more carefully at how he actually used it, not to generate answers, but to create a personal tutor. He used Gen AI to push his own understanding further, asking it to challenge him, explain concepts differently, and test whether he'd really grasped something. The AI didn't do the learning for him. It created the conditions for him to learn. You won't be able to get rid of learning, and learning is a beautiful journey that you'd want to keep. That's why you're in a university. The MIT students model is the model we should all be working towards. Use GenAI to help fill our learning gaps. Make it your brainstorming partner, peer level, not superior. That means you lead the conversation, you direct it, you decide what to ask, you evaluate what comes back, and you push back when something doesn't feel right. GenAI follows your direction, it doesn't set it. If your knowledge gaps are large, the AI cannot bridge them. It will produce something that sounds like a good answer, and if you don't know the field, you won't be able to tell it isn't one. That's exactly the pattern we've been observing in student outcomes. Myth 2. I can outsource my reading. GenAI will summarize the literature for me. I understand the appeal. There are a lot of articles. GenAI reads fast. But here's the problem. What makes a piece of literature genuinely useful for research isn't the conclusion. It's the texture of the argument, the assumptions the authors made, the methodological choices that create limitations. The half sentence in the discussion section where they admit something doesn't quite fit. Those are the cracks in the argument. And those cracks are exactly where original research lives. GenAI summaries flatten all of that. And here's the deeper issue. Active reading is how you build the conceptual vocabulary to ask good research questions. If you haven't done that work, you won't know what to ask GenAI. You won't recognize when a summary is missing something important. You'll be directing a powerful tool with an empty map. GenAI is genuinely excellent at processing large volumes of text at speed. But innovation comes from detecting the subtle tensions and contradictions in the literature. That requires a trained human reader, not a language model. The right use of GenAI here is different. Read first, then use GenAI to help you organize, connect, and synthesize what you've already understood. That combination is genuinely powerful. But the reading has to come first. Those are the first two myths, and they both come back to the same principle. GenAI amplifies what you bring to it. Build that base, keep reading, and I'll see you in part 2, where we get into the instruction itself and where most students are actually losing ground.